Resolved, school uniforms should be required at Prairie Point. Enforcing uniforms on students can't help students become smarter, but it can help them receive a better education, removing all distractions from body parts being shown, tight clothes or images appearing on clothing. Having school uniforms can save money, prevent bullying, and show the real intelligence of a student. One reason we should have school uniforms is because it saves money. Throughout the years, parents have been using their work savings on children's clothing. Americans themselves spend roughly $12 billion on clothes, and half of that is for their children. Having the Prairie College Community School District start enforcing school uniforms would not only help the teachers and students save money, but help the parents save their work-earned savings. Prairie has been allowing students to express their creativity throughout their clothing freely with some restrictions, but slipping through the teachers' eyes are codes being broken. Students waste money on such unneeded clothing such as Ugg boots and buckle jeans that fit too tightly. Students may not always buy name brand clothing, but even non-brand clothing can get a little pricey at the checkout. On the website Forbes, Emma Johnson spoke about the issue on the amount of money spent on clothes. While on the website proandcon.org, a writer spoke about how a uniform for school only costs around $45 per set, and students are required to have 2 sets, which is only $90 compared to all the other money spent on name brand clothes. Therefore, the school district of Prairie should begin requiring school uniforms. Not only does school uniforms save money, it also prevents bullying. Prairie Point should start strictly requiring uniforms for students. According to the article Pro and Con, 64% said uniforms reduce bullying. This is significant because people at Prairie get bullied every day for the clothes they wear, and if Prairie requires uniforms, the bullying will be significantly reduced. More and more people are starting to get bullied every day at Point because some may dress different than others. According to the article Pro and Con, when all students are dressed alike, competition between students over clothing choices and the choosing of those who are dressed in less expensive or less fashionable outfits can be eliminated. This fact proves that when kids wear uniforms, it decreases bullying. So kids will not be afraid to come to school if they are all wearing clothes that look alike. Uniforms should be required at Prairie Point Middle School. If not, kids may get bullied. The last reason we should have uniforms is because uniforms will show the true focus a student can have in school. Prairie Point needs to acknowledge the fact that school uniforms need to be required. Some students may think they need new clothes because the clothes they have aren't popular. But this should not be happening because clothes don't show the true individuality in students or even adults. Jill Hamilton states, kids are more likely than parents waste a colossal amount of time, energy, and money trying to keep up with ever-changing fashions are popular at school. The fact that kids follow each other with clothing to just stand out and be popular illustrates that we need school uniforms. Because new and expensive clothing doesn't show anything about a person, such as their personality or even their intelligence. One example from dress codes in schools. Clothes are about the worst possible way to express true individuality. An expensive, out-edging outfit doesn't have anything to do with how well a student does on a test, in a game, or even on a project. This is significant because this evidence shows how school uniforms will help with the way people see each other. Also, clothes put others in groups that shouldn't be happening in school. Everyone should try and meet new people that don't dress like them. Therefore, Prairie Point should consider having school uniforms required because it saves us money, prevents bullying, and it also shows the true intelligence a person can have without them having to worry about how they look.
They say school uniforms help stay on task and keep focused, but I don't think it would help that at all. In the article, school uniforms not fit for a purpose, it says that school uniforms are awkward, uncomfortable, and just plain weird. Many kids will sit in class and mess with a uniform because it's tight, and then the kids won't learn anything. An example that we can use is if an overweight student has to wear a tight shirt tucked into khakis, that student may be more concerned about appearance while sitting in the desk than a teacher's lecture. Being comfortable while sitting in periods of time is important to all of us. Just think about when we know we have to drive a long time, you want to get dressed up comfortably. Through personal experience, I was at a wedding and I was dressed in a suit. I was more concerned about the necktie than the wedding. So think about personal experiences and taking into consideration in the article. I do not think that enforcing school uniforms will help students stay on task and keep focused. Therefore, we should keep school uniforms out of Prairie Point. They also say that school uniforms will stop bullying, but I don't think it will stop bullying at all. In the article Top 10 Reasons School Uniforms Should Be Banned on the site Listland, it says that they actually don't stop bullying, but they actually attract bullies. Based on their research, they saw how it makes the students' distinct personalities stand out. A school uniform does not define who you are, it is personality. Being able to dress how we want, we are able to conform to our personality and even body type. School uniforms could cause more bullying to someone who has developed faster or is overweight. Sometimes bullying is used to define status, and if clothing is taken away, a bully will find other ways to gain status, such as who has the best phone, best game system, or the best car. Bullying, unfortunately, can't be stopped by enforcing school uniforms. It may only add to the situation. Therefore, we should keep school uniforms out of bullying.
Hitler wanted a society in which everyone looked and wore the same clothes. Schools are now trying to get students to wear uniforms so they look the same. This is breaking the First Amendment by not allowing them freedom of expression. It also makes people of a certain race or religion feel uncomfortable. Plus, parents are struggling because the cost is simply too high. Currently at Prairie Point, we do not have school uniforms. We should not propose a uniform. The First Amendment states that we have the right to freely express ourselves without interference from the government. According to Kent Fred's administrators are abrogating students' rights of expression by mandating uniforms. Meaning that schools that are enforcing the uniform are violating students' rights to express themselves. This is significant because even the law states that students should be able to express themselves through the clothes they wear. Kent Fretner also says that, if possible, with some even wish to control the hair, eye, and skin color, the thought may seem ludicrous, but then again, Hitler's Third Reich was to boast the blonde hair, blue eye onion race. Hitler had this idea and should not be addressed to students. Some families cannot afford school uniforms. This can cause bullying and disruption in classrooms. For example, a Louisiana high school student who was found without her belt during a belt inspection. Her father worked too far to bring her belt, so she was barred from class. This is significant because school uniforms are causing students to be kicked out of classrooms. Students are trying to pursue their education rather than getting kicked out of the classroom. To add to, based on a teacher who works at Prairie Point says, when I was student teaching, I felt like I had to spend more time politicizing the uniforms than their behavior. It seemed like a waste of time to tell a student to tuck their shirt in or wear a belt. I also didn't like to have to penalize a student for forgetting a seemingly insignificant piece of clothing. This not only shows that students think uniforms are causing disruption of learning, teachers also agree that they have interfered. Black and Hispanic students that attend schools with the uniforms state that they feel discomfort with the uniforms. They also feel like it's a racial issue. Non-white students can feel uncomfortable or racially discriminated when they wear uniforms more than white students. This is why schools across the United States should eliminate uniforms. According to Atlantic Journal, Hispanics and Black students in Georgia across the United States are more often to require school uniforms than white students. About half of Black students and every 1 in 4 Hispanic students wear uniforms, while every 1 in 20 white student does. This is relevant because it makes Black and Hispanics feel discriminated, like an outlier compared to white students. All around the United States, Black and Hispanic families report that their children are being pulled out of classes because they were not in uniform. Children come to school to be learned and taught, here it says, and they cannot be taught if you're taking them away from their teacher, unless it's a really dire offense. This is relevant because it shows personal experience with their kids being pulled out of class. Of a uniform issue, this is evidence that kids are losing their education because of school uniforms. Although some may find uniforms to help their children's education. It simply doesn't help anyway. All things considered, Prairie Point should not get school uniforms.
My opponent may say that the First Amendment of a student is being taken away with uniforms being enforced, but I disagree because their First Amendment is not being taken away, it's only being preserved until the school day is over. Imagine it as someone breaking the law. They get fined or sent to jail. The students didn't obey the school's laws, so they got their right taken away. Therefore, the First Amendment is not being taken away. My opponent may also say that uniforms cost too much, but I disagree because buying everyday clothes costs more than uniforms themselves. Students would be required 2 uniforms per student, which costs the final dollars of $90, which makes it $90 less than the $1,700 the parents spend on students' clothes. Therefore, uniforms do not cost that much. And lastly, my opponent said that uniforms could ruin a student's self-image, but I disagree because students in a uniform would not feel any different than anyone else around them. Uniforms are meant to fit the student appropriately, not to fit them too tightly or too loosely. Students who would struggle with more self-esteem problems when without their uniforms, due to girls showing off their bodies with expensive clothes that show off their body or body parts, or boys who wear muscle shirts revealing their muscled up arm. Therefore, uniforms would not ruin a student's self-image.